He's on East 8th Street. He's not in Canada.
No.
They're here in Brooklyn.
Yeah. Morning, Rabbi Heidelbaum.
Good morning.
Okay, Hayom Kotzev Amalachim Meruba. And it's oh yeah, exactly. So someone asks me always why I start with saying Hayom Kotzev Malachim Meruba, but that's just the way it is. The feeling is that the week in the beginning of the week is Yom Rishon is Chesed, and it's such a beautiful week, and we hope that we don't squander the week. We use every moment. That's what basically. What is the Mishnah saying? Hayom Kotzev. What's the Hayom Kotzev Malachim Meruba? The Rebbeinu Shalom knows what you need to do in life, and he gives you Yomim Yitzuru v'lo Yechad Behem. The Rebbeinu Shalom knows what your job is, and he gives you based on how much you need to do. He gives you 80, 90, 100, 120 years. Shem is Baruch 180 years. Maybe she gives you Arichas Yom for what do you mean Hayom Kotzev Malachim Meruba? Pashtus is that Chazal is just saying an expression to bring out how precious every minute is. That the Malacha, like we learned this, that like there's a story of the Baal Shem Tov said that the Malach Mechol is Makana Ayid, that he would give everything away to get one sitzah. If he can get the mitzvah, get only a chelek, one sitzah of a Yid. The Baal Shem Tov said that's the name that everyone's mentioned, the name of the Baal Shem Tov. Or he would give everything away, Malach Mechol. They give one sitzah. So we have a Malacha which is Meruba, it's Chamoyre Dike Malacha. On the Yom, it's Kotzer because it's finite. The day is, every minute is 60 seconds. It's like, it's finite. But the Malacha that the Eibishter gives us Meruba. It's Meruba means big. Always when we say like Ma'od means bleak wool. It means it's unbelievable. There's a word from the Rebbe that says that the diuk here is that Hayom Kotzer, that the day is finite. Malacha is Meruba. Why Meruba? It says in the Alter Rebbe says that any of Avodas Hashem that because a Jewish is finite, so his Avodas Hashem is always falls short. The only Avodas Hashem that doesn't fall short is Mesiras Nefesh. That's why the Akiva called Yom HaYisim. It started. I can't we cry for the Akiva, and we cry and attack every year when we, and we say the Akiva. We don't even mean the Akiva. The Akiva and the tzaddikim that came in the 2,000 years afterwards until our generation. So, but on the other hand, it's unbelievable schus. The Rebbe a lot of times used to talk about this, that the Beis Yosef writes in a Sefer Magid Misharim that he was punished. He was going to be killed on Kiddush Hashem, and he was punished because he wasn't Zocher for Kiddush Hashem. Now, like after he was punished, he wrote the Shulchan Aruch and the Sefer Beis Yosef. Again, this is the Rebbe's opinion. That you have to know history, and the Rebbe says that that's the Metzias. That if he would have went to Kiddush Hashem, we would have never had this Sefer called Shulchan Aruch. We'd never have the Mishnah Brura. We'd never have the Sefer Beis Yosef. We'd never had the Sefer Magid Misharim. And still, it was a punishment, and he's not going to be. So when we think about the Kedoshim, it comes Tisha B'Av. When we think about the Kedoshi Elyon, we have to have that in mind. As much as the pain, and the pain is unbelievable, is that they are Kedosh Elyon, and this is what the Akiva said. So that is that Malacha, that Avodas Hashem is Taka B'Likvul. Ta'id Taka Zocher to go and give the Hashem. The day, the finite life that a person lives is Kotzer. What's life? So Hayom Kotzer, Malacha, the ultimate Malacha, which is Mesiras Nefesh, is Taka is Meruba, and it doesn't fit into the Yom, which is Kotzer. So anyway, the Eibishter help from that we should be doing Mesiras Nefesh, like Chassidus says, Mesiras Erotz, that we give away, that not Chas v'Shalom, the emesis that we live a very long life, 120 at Beis Mashiach Tzidkenu. Elamai, our Mesiras Nefesh is that we give Mesiras Erotz and Shulik.
The Roif Kol says that the Roif Kol means that the Avodas Hashem connects us with Atzmos, is much higher than anything else. So Melacha Meruba probably has to do with that.
Hashem, Roif Kol. Okay, so that's it. So with that, we'll go straight into a few shilas that about Tisha B'Av. So there is before we start, there was a Mishpacha magazine. I wish I saved it a couple of years ago. The Israeli one. There's a mishpach from Bnei Brak. Forget the name. They said that their father told them that he was the Rebbe, Lubavitcher Rebbe's Malamed. Lubavitcher Rebbe Zechat Tzaddik Levrocha Gehata Malamed. Yeah, and he was his Malamed. And he told his family that I always knew he's going to be a Godel B'Yisrael when he was a little child. But the funny thing is, the family shouldn't have told the story. Why? Because the Rebbe once told, said, Gehata Malamed, said, it's an unbelievable Malamed. But I once quoted him, he was learning on Tisha B'Av. I asked my Malamed, Chadin Fudish, Chazal, you're not allowed to learn on Tisha B'Av. So he said, my Malamed told me that they're going to shmeiss me anyway in Gehenna. I'll let them shmeiss me for learning on Tisha B'Av. So the Rebbe never said who his Malamed is. Exactly. But I see in the Sefer, but the day of the Uvda, that when Chaim Kanievsky was sitting for Zrebitzin, so they told him that the Rogatchover, when he was sitting for his wife, and so he was learning. So they said, how can you learn it? So he said, you know what? Mutav li Lizbul Gehenna Malaysia bottle. So Reb Chaim said, he said, you don't understand. He said, Chas v'sholom, that they're going like Reb Yosef, the Baal Sefnes Paneach, playing games. He said that the Yushalmi says, Hello, Tacha Dibrei Torah Mutar Lilmed V'mei Elvelo. Person who can't is chalashing. He's chalashing. If he's not learning, he's allowed to learn B'mei Elvelo. Kudesh Misharim Mesamchi makes you happy. A regular person, if you're living a life and it's empty, you're not happy. You learn Torah, you're happy, okay. But a person is mamish is chalashing. He's fainting. He's lo Tacha Dibrei Torah is mutar. So the time
like a shower, you're not taking a shower for pleasure, but if
exactly. It's not for pleasure. This is the Kamish is Heim Chayenu. So the Chaim said, what do you think? So what? Do you think that Rogatchover is going to tell the people, I'm that person that Yerushalmi says is Alo Tacha Dibrei Torah? So he couldn't say that. He couldn't say that. So but really that's what he was relying on. Because the Rebbe's Malamed probably also relied on something, and we'll learn it in a second in the Mishnah Brura. There is something to rely on. But the Chaim also says that he asked the Chaznish, we don't know. We don't know. I think probably the Rebbe, you'll hear in a second, and then you'll know the answer. But the Chaim said that he asked his uncle, he asked the Chaznish, even a Shav was Tisha B'Av Shecholid B'Shabbos. It was like more kal. Is he allowed to learn because of the Sisur in the Mishnah Brura, the poskim that are mekel? So he said, no, you're not allowed to. So you have to hear a cute word. This is a statement. This guy, Shmuel David Friedman. So he says that he heard from the Tzanzer Rebbe. He said this Lishkenai. The Chaznish told that to the Chaim Kanievsky. Yeah, you have to take it with a grain of salt. He said he knew that if Chaim, if you tell him it's also for him to learn. So what is he going to do? He'll open up the Gemara and learn the Gemara and Gittin about the Churban, and he'll learn the Ein Yaakov. He's not going to waste his time. So he told him it's also for you. What, you want to learn Tosfos? You want to learn Tzas? No, go learn the Gemara Gittin. But for other people, Lav Dafke, the Chaznish meant it for him. So to answer your Sharla, Bami it's Boru, that the Rebbe probably sat and learned whatever's mutter. In other words, he learned the Medrashim and Eicha, and we don't know. But that's what the Rebbe. You can see a lot of tzasichas around that Rebbe would used to mention a lot in the Gemara, the Medrashim about the Churban. But the question is for the rest of us, what's the problem? The problem is, especially people that have a shir kavua. You have a shir kavua, and what are you going to do? You have Daf Hayomi, there's Lubavitch sitting there learning Chumash Tilim Tanya, 3 Prakim Rambam, Imazavani Yom, Mayim Azveka. You never want to be in a situation. So these things, Shurim Kavuyim, they catch up on you very, very fast. All of a sudden, you're a Baal Choiv, 9 Prakim Rambam. All of a sudden, you're a Baal Choiv, you learn Daf Hayomi. And all of a sudden, your wheels are spinning in snow. So let's go through the first nakuda about learning Chitas, Rambam, Daf Yomi, whatever, all these things, Erev Tisha B'Av and Tisha B'Av. Okay. So first, let's read here. The Tshuva is in Shulchan Aruch Siman Tov Kuf Nun Gimel. The Rama writes like this: Nogu Shelo Lilmed Be'erev Tisha B'Av Mechatzos Ve'elach. From Erev Tisha B'Av Chatzos, you don't learn. Kim B'Dvarim HaMotarim B'Tisha B'Av like the Medrashim Menachem and the Gemara in Gittin about the Churban. Therefore, if you have a Tisha B'Av on Sunday, so the Shabbos, you don't do Pirkei Avos because after Chatzos. You also shouldn't be metal out of Tisha B'Av.
It's an interesting thing because they could have said, say, earlier.
I guess because the minig is to connect it to Mincha. It's not Stam Azai.
I shall assume it's the Kiyav Karamelach.
Okay,
Plus,
stuck it up.
Chomatam shall shoes.
Okay, but you
But
see,
the
that's what
Paresi
I
one
wanted.
is not Paresi.
No,
Well, it's the same.
well, same thing. Everyone's sitting together in shul. So the emphasis, the look in the Mishnah Berurah. The Mishnah Berurah Takaya says, and the Gro asks, "Kosovo bir aloch." I'm a Mishnah Berurah. Zeshra Amar Memordchai. Rosa Temuahi. It's not a Gemara. It's not a Beferish Gemara. Chazal say you're not allowed to learn on Tisha B'Av. But Erev Tisha B'Av, it doesn't. It's not a Chazal. It's a minig. Kvar Yisir the K'tzas Min Acharonim the Tzof Chorlei. He was screaming about this minig. Omna Marava Mogen Avram Kayem. Shikoyas. We have 3 lines from the top. Kosovo bir aloch. I'm Mishnah Berurah Bezalashon Amar Memordchai Rosa Temuahi. Kvar Yisir the K'tzas Min Acharonim the Tzof Chorlei. Omna Marava Mogen Avram Kayem. Divrei Ramo. That Magen Avraham established that it was right. Beherich bazel, but so if see him, Echshi and Nilin is died that ain't lochish lazel. Fisha ain't lo natam and nochain. We don't have a decisive time. Leser alimud b'Shabbos klal. Mashkosam Rav Magen la'achma metam dioch lilmud dvarim amotorim Tisha B'Av. Omer ani the ein ze maspik. Magen Avraham says, what's the big deal? The minig is to not to learn Erev Tisha B'Av. So learn with dvarim amotorim. You're not having bittul Torah. So Omer ani she'ein ze maspik. Fisha ein odem loimed el mashal libe chofetz. Ve'inenu aroyes de kamet hamid hachachamim nesrashlim balumad haTorah muta b'Tisha B'Av atzmai mishum tzaru lahem lomad b'ma she'enim regilim. Ve'gam ani b'vaynesenu rabim ke'efem mehem v'lachein eini choishesh l'svor zu. I'm not sure. I think at this point Chofetz Chaim is writing it himself, but he didn't end quote from the Maimon Mordechai, so I'm not sure. But the bottom line, he named on la halacha that way. V'daiti noite lahata rafila b'choil ad samuch l'bein hashmoshes. V'lav de mistapina mechabraya havamina afila b'yom Tisha B'Av atzmo on the local in the Bavenesenu Rav in the Skalkala there is b'yom Tisha B'Av metaylim mishvokim masichim sichas chulin v'afila yodim sefer k'tzas haloim de mekilim b'zeh and they're wasting their time. It's better. Huh? Yeah, if I wouldn't be afraid, yeah,
He would let them learn on Tisha B'Av.
I'd let them learn a Tisha B'Av.
Because it's better to learn than to be bottom.
Yeah, Pshita the B'Ofen zet Tfeya ve'ot Chlalilmet. Peretzim is a Metzina b'Yishalmi Amar Rabba v'Malmel Ilo hoya Misha Yismana Imi Yisim Matir Malocha b'Chalamoyut Klum Asro El Kadesh Echel Meshoysim Nesmeichem Etzeskim B'Toyda. So the Baba Mamal said the reason they say that Cholamoyed you're not allowed to do any malacha because they wanted that the people should eat and drink and learn Torah, and now it turned on its head. So I wish I could find someone that would be mismana with me and say they're allowed to do malacha. So this way people will be able to relax because it's too much anxiety that they can't do malacha. He says that they have too much empty time, and it comes out that it didn't come out what Chazal wanted. So it's unbelievable. I'm not sure if the Maimon Mordechai or whoever's saying it, Chofetz Chaim is quoting it to the bottom line, saying a chidush davar, unbelievable chidush. Why did Chazal say it's also to learn? Because the people should focus on the avelis. If a person's machadash or chidush, he got that toises, and he made a chidush. Who cares? Fasting, shmasting. That person's a talmid chacham. He gets so excited about his learning, shefages, and he's fasting, and it's bottled the whole idea of focusing on the avelis of the churban. So they said, we're not going to let you. We're not going to let you learn. So you're going to focus on the avelis. But if they're going to end up that these Talmidei Chacham that would have learned instead they're not learning, but also not focusing on the avelis. They're taking care of Chveis, proved in the file. So best is what they should learn. Ela dem achish isu borur hu b'shasa poiskim. Pshita de'enu l'koyach lahaka. And it's the file that says isu borur. So who has the right to do this? Shem and nafshi yirchik atzmai schoik v'hisfol v'til v'shem mechapa v'tashoik v'habla v'erev tishimov yishlok kivin shlo yuzker b'shas. Again, af ani noyik af b'choil. I'm noyik this way. Usmich nemo al marshal. Makom kemish magish batzn shuych litchik. Ik velum mit varm matonem velay mat neze velum is kodesh yamarlay. Ach kavan saleven at vor. So okay. So akaponim, but the Mishnah Berurah is bringing this halacha, and there's a sefer about the Mishnah Berurah. Sorry about the it says it's Chafetz Chaim or Chayev of Olav. There's 3 chalakim. This third chalak at the end, page Taf Memches. It says the Metzias is that in Radlan the yeshiva Chafetz Chaim with Keveh given the Erev Tisha B'Av there's regular say that are limited. Regular say that are limited. The Ramos says, Noagu Shaloi Lelamed. It's not a Shasa Poiskim.
A minute.
On Tisha B'Av Taki, there was no learning because it's a Shasa Poiskim. You don't play games. It's Alumdus, it's Manazeh, but Lepoil has brought Shas not to learn. But he was Keved and his yeshiva, so you see that he passed him that way.
How come
His Keved and his yeshiva and at Tisha B'Av they learned.
these programs? Rabbanim talking.
But they,
Making it too much fun. I see that's from the Avelis. Too much inspirational speakers. Weiß ich nicht.
about learning Rambam
Oh,
and
so I think as a Kedai. So by the way, now you understand. I was telling you the story that's brought over here in B'Diya. It's not a joke that Ken Zaitaka, when the Chazon Ish told Chaim Kanievsky, Colonel Brocha, that he don't rely on any kulas. Said of Tisha B'Av, you just learn the Medrash Eicha. It's a takazoi because he knew his nephew and he knew that he would tell him, listen, it's Chaminig, and so state that Amon Shulchan Chazon Ish wasn't to play games, and he's going to learn the Medrash. But back to me and you, if you have a Shir Kavua. Tafayomi, if we brought Rambam, Tanya, or Babich Chassidim that are learning a piece of shtickle and wow, Shmulik Shkoyach for joining us. We see the beautiful light that shines from Eretz Yisrael. The sun in Eretz Yisrael is beautiful. So we're talking about learning in Erev Tisha B'Av. The Shulchan Aruch says.
We're going to Afghanistan now, but I decided to learn.
Are you going to Afghanistan?
I said I decided to stay and learn instead of go to Afghanistan.
That's the best Afghana. So the din is not to learn on Erev Tisha B'Av, and we're talking about what to do with Chitas and Amba. So Lepoil, if you can learn before Chatzos, Gavaldik, but still Kedai Hu Mishnah Berurah, to rely on him that if you didn't manage to finish your Chumash Dilim Tanya, your Rambam, your Daf Yomi, or the halacha and the Hilchos Beis Habachida, to learn it also after Chatzos until Shkiyah. Okay, now, what do we do on Tisha B'Av itself? Tisha B'Av itself is a little more chomer. Taka, there is the Mishnah Berurah has a thing, and Taka the Rebbe said from his Litvish Malamed. Well, so here there's room to be makel. Why is there room to be makel a little bit? So let's read inside. Let's read from the Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch Siman Tov Kuf Nun Dalet Tziv Dalet. He writes like this: Mutar likar kol seder hayoim u'parshas hakarbonos u'mishnah eizah mekoyim medrash Rabbi Shmuel. And the Ramos says, one second before we continue. In other words, the davening at Sakar Minik, by Chatzos, right by Chatzos, we put on film. And then we say Ashri Balatsian, Sheshayoim, and Kolakenu. We say Grishma, Ashri Balatsian, Sheshayoim, and Kolakenu. And we catch up on the Shiurim Akvuyim that we missed out, which the Shiurim we mean here, the davening, the things that are connected to davening. But the Ramah adds 3 words here. The Ramah says, Mutar Lachzer HaParsha B'Tisha B'Av. You're allowed to do the parsha. What does it mean to do the parsha? The Taz writes, "We need an ochgam, but the misharoga lachzer a parsha ba'isa yoim the eine shechol tisha b'yom hey avalei can say that and that's mutin." In other words, the Taz. Basically, the Taz is talking about the old minik, like we learn chitas. It's not a minik that started yesterday. There were Yidden that was a mashlim parsha Yosef and Matzibur. Sunday they learned the chumash of Sunday and Monday of Monday. So that's what that Rambam meant. He meant that you're allowed to learn the chumash of the day. But the Menachem argues. The Menachem says, "Bepoizna noigim she'enam nimteilam b'shirei yichud rak l'macharoso yoymer shalemus v'shalayon." But b'medina zu noigim la'omram b'minche, that they say the Tehillim, that the Tehillim and the Shira Yichud. I mean, Lubavitch, we don't say Shira Yichud, but that all that they say by mincha. Afapi gav the osur b'tal matoyra kol hayom tzarich lamer. The svira lehu given she'emnim derech bakosha shoni lamer b'mincha. Ma high time mekilam betfilim b'mincha. That we're makel and all these things are saying Shir Shayim, the Tehillim, and all these things because it's really a chelik of the Seder Tefillah. And then continues nearly that when the Ramah said you mutet be choize the parsha, the hainu chazen hakoyde mutet lachzer parsha hakoydem sheyikra. When the Ramah said you're allowed to be choize the parsha, he didn't mean that you could do chitas. He meant the shliach tzibur that has to read in the Torah. He's reading today's parsha. It's a little bit of a doichik in the lashon. The shliach tzibur that has to read the Torah. He doesn't want to go up and read it wrong. He has to be koyder for the tzibur. So the shliach tzibur is allowed to read the parsha before he's going oila to read the parsha.
We know, Klal, that once this performance spoke with Ruach HaKodesh, is not, if they meant something very small, it would have been only that. If the lotion that came out with Ruach HaKodesh is a lotion that could be koyel more things, it's included. You remember once a few weeks ago you said that Shaila that was about that the Rebbe said that it was a question, or was said something that the Rambam said if it wasn't a question or it wasn't a way of yeah. So once the Rambam said it and it includes more,
right? The lashon that Rambam sounds a little more that it's talking about learning chumash, because it's a little funny to say, but that lachzer parsha means to be choizer the kriyas haTorah, but whatever. This is a machloek. L'poil we're noyek to be makel, like to learn Krishna. But the shaila is right. But the shaila is about the chumash. There isn't a clear achra between the Taz and the Magen Avraham. There isn't a clear achra. So what taka should be done? So let me read here a piece of the Rebbe's letter that he wrote to someone. The Rebbe writes to someone that's Nigris Kodesh Chelek Gimel. Say that Ashlamas Shile Chumash Kilas Tanya. First, an interesting thing. Pshita Shashir the Etmoel Koidem. Sherei Nochen Lakaim Malaseder Veloy Lilmet Pedek Beis Koidem Pedek Aleph or Parsha Beis Koidem Parsha Aleph. V'Kala It's not an interesting thing. A person asked, it's a Monday or Tuesday, and he doesn't have that much time. He's going to learn the Chumash and the Rashi, but he didn't learn Chumash and Rashi yesterday. Should you say that there is a din kedima on the Shira Kvuach today, or you should go back to the Rebbe says, no, it doesn't make sense to, when you learn a parsha, so you're behind. Okay, so you're behind, but still you should do first the RIshon and then Shem. Okay. Because the Yom Yomi writes they could do the Shurim Akvuyim by Menachem. It's a mashma that Chumash Tilam Tanya is a part. Given the Madame Mochitas Lakochim, the Alayla Hoylach Achar Ayoim, moving the Lomer Lashlim and Malayla Shalachar of Elam Medoich, but the Eved, and what's the Smuchim and the Kochim, of Allah the Chatchilish, Philosi Arvis, Bestir Lishurim, the Kamen Yonat Ashlum and Merak, but the Eved, Milas Acheris, but the Shlum Shemalosh Eshram Kama, Veloikulon, Shemashlim, Lois Iker, Ela Chelki. He's saying, when a person takes upon himself to learn the Shir Chumash Tilam Tanya, Chatchila should try to do it before Shkia. Interestingly, Chatchila should try to do the Chumash Tilam Tanya the day before Shkia. Why? Every day. Why? Because you're makabel to do it today. Elamai, it's saying that once it's already Shkia, it's still, if you do it that night, it's Bekochim, we say that the Laila is Oilach Achayom. But it's not as good as if you did it in the daytime. But for it, that's what I was saying. It's not as good. But okay, listen, the night is and the day is connected.
You're saying, like, for example, say the Aliyah Shani to Shlish. When should you do that? For Shvi at night or
Right. So today, if I'm learning the Chumash RIshon, I should try to do it before Shkia. If I didn't manage to do it before Shkia, I'll do it after Shkia, but it's not as good. It's not as good. So therefore, when it comes to Tisha B'Av, it's because it's a sheer kavua. It's hard to tell a person to wait because he's going to lose that. He was makabel on himself to learn that. So another point, void lahodir yedua mashkosa bekisvei arizal shein limud mikra balayla v'chein nizorim amiris teilim balayla at chatzois. So because there's a thing from the Arizal, which today is the Yortzeit, hey, Menachem Ov is the Yortzeit of the Ariachai. So Shkoche Prot is that we're learning today something from the Arizal. The Arizal said not to say Chumash or Tilim by night, Tachatzois.
You say, so Rashi,
Okay, so that's what the Rebbe is. I think the Rebbe is Kein Achroa. It's Kein Achroa between there's a machloikis here, what the Ramah meant. Ramah said, Muter lachzer ha-parsha. What do you mean that the Shliach Tzibur could prepare the parsha? Or you mean that every person is allowed to learn the Shir Chumash. If you're allowed to learn the Shir Chumash, it makes sense that you're allowed to say the Shir Tehillim also. So the Rebbe was machliya that there is a certain mila to do dafka bayoim, and you lose that mila once it's shkia. And especially when it comes to Chumash and Tehillim, that the Arizal holds you're not supposed to do it balayla. So there's machliya to be makel. That when the Ramos said that you're allowed to learn the parsha, he meant the parsha, those people that learn the parsha. And the word is, it's similar to that we're making. It's similar to that because this is not so much like a regular learning, which is misameach esalev, like you opened up Satoisvis, Machadish given Chidush, and he learned another seif from the Shagas Aya. He went through a Psakitzos Achoshen. You know, as we know, Teva B'nai Adam, something which is an obligation, you have to learn your Chumash Tilim Tanya. It's not the same. It's not the same thing. And Li'idach, there's a certain chisaron that if you wait till the night that you lost, you're makabel on yourself to do it by day. So therefore, we meko. However, it's interesting. The Rebbe made takona to learn Rambam. The Rebbe himself made the Moira Shir. The Moira Shir the Rebbe made. He wrote it up. And obviously, every year we change the days because the Rebbe could have made it. It's interesting. The Rebbe could have made it that Rambam should be fixed for a year. He didn't want it. I guess because there's a certain mila. If you get used to that this day you learn these days. The Rebbe could have made it that way. He did. He made it that it's short by 11 days. So therefore, you always. But that was the. And then the Rebbe wrote a footnote on Tisha B'Av. L'umed b'motzat Tisha B'Av. That the Rambam should learn motzat Tisha B'Av. I think the difference is quite obvious. Chumash Tilim is a shaila if you can learn it by night. Number one. Number two, Chumash Tilim is more. The Rambam. Sometimes it happens. You learn a Rambam, you get excited. You see halacha. You look in the Magid Mishnah. You look in the Kesef Mishnah. You look in the Radvaz. Can't tell a person that you should learn Rambam on Tisha B'Av and put your hands over the Kesef Mishnah and the Magid Mishnah and the Radvaz. You learn a Rambam Taka, even though Lubavitch Chassidim are learning it quickly to do a Peder with 3 broken, but still, you know, you're learning a Rambam, and sometimes it's like a Shmak Chidush, and you're looking in the, and that's Taka again going against that veil. So anyway, the bottom line is that the Rebbe was Kriveya that the Shiurim HaKvuyim to learn Chumash Tilim Tanya to learn those that learned Daf Hayom would probably be similar to Rambam to do it after Chatzos. I'm sorry, to do it after Shkia, to do it by night. Again, you're learning a Gemara. First of all, that Izal never said you have a problem learning a Gemara by night. You can learn the Gemara by night. Afkas to learn Gemara by night. So I think Rambam and Daf Hayomi should be by night, but Chumash Tilim Tanya should be by day.
make sure that Chumash Kollel, if you put Chumash Rashi can time.
Not in the Sugya. Yes, you look into it. That is on Tisha B'Av to learn the Chumash Tilim Tanya after Chatzos. with mincha, when you're doing it. But the daf hayomi and the shiur that you're learning in Hilchas Beis Habachira Rambam and the Rambam, the three prokim you should learn by night. After Shkia. I don't know. Matzah Tisha B'Av. It means after you broke the fast.
There's people that during Tisha B'Av are going to feel terrible that they can't learn because they know that after the fast, the way they feel, and it's going to take them for 5
sure,
hours.
Rely.
So they could do it during the day. It's the same thing as
a person can rely a little bit. The Mishnah Berurah, you see, the Mishnah Berurah a little bit tried to be makel. If a person is anyway not going to focus so much on the Avelis, and that then all of a sudden Friday's behind with an Rambam, and if he gets bent out of shape, yeah. But l'chatchila,
you don't have to become worse than what the Tisha B'Av wanted to make you feel.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so that's that. Someone asked me about going into the office on Tisha B'Av after Chatzos, or at least running a little bit of the business out of his house on Tisha B'Av after Chatzos. So first, let's read what the Shulchan Aruch says. The Shulchan Aruch is it's Siman Tovkuf Nun Dalet Sif Chav Beis. Sorry, I didn't. Makim Shenog Latz Malacha B'Tisha B'Av Oisa Makim Shenog Shlo Latz Ein Oisa. I'm sorry, just want to one more time summarize. So we have the Shas says Befedish not to learn on Tisha B'Av, only the sugyas that are about the Churban, in order to focus on the. So, but after Chatzos we do the Shurim Makvuyim. Machloikis is if that includes just the regular, Enkel Akenu, or also it includes reading the Parsha Chumash. The Rebbe's Machriya that Chumash Tilim Tanya you should learn right after Chatzos, and the Rambam and Daf Hayomi you should learn by night after you break the fast. Erev Tisha B'Av should try to learn before Chatzos, but there's much more room to be makel, like the Mishnah Berurah says. That's not brought in Shas. So if you feel that you want to finish off the things you need to learn, you learn. Okay. Why about going into the office? No way. No way.
I was just asking a question.
Only in the 9 days we're makel to those that are. Okay. About going to mikvah in the time of when Mashiach is going to come.
You're not
To go to mikvah, so it's annoying to go every day.
Every day if you go.
Ari, there are a lot of places that say in the 9 days, those that are always knowing to go to the mikveh, to be makel to also go on the 9 days. Now, in the time, there's a whole discussion. In the time of the first Beis Hamikdash, the Churban wasn't Tisha B'Av, so there's a discussion. So at the time of the second Beis Hamikdash, did they fast or did they not fast? The Pashtus, they didn't fast. There's a whole discussion about it. Definitely in the 70 years between the first, second Beis Hamikdash, they fasted. Now, at that time, on Tisha B'Av, if someone asked, he's allowed to go to the mikveh, the answer was yes, because Tefillah B'Zman HaMitzvah. In those days, when they kept the halachas of Nida and Ziva precise, not with the extra chumras of Neis Yisrael, Norgul Akra, last one. They kept the halachas precise. So at that time, in the 70 years between the first and the second Beis Hamikdash, if someone asked, they need to go to the mikveh, the answer was yes. Also in Yom Kippur. No, also in Yom Kippur. According to Tefillah B'Zman HaMitzvah, yeah, we don't keep it because we anyway, man. So, but yeah.
So I'll make sure now. Oh, it's a good.
Yeah. Yes. Makim shenog l'asam halacha v'tisha b'av oisa. Makim shenog l'asam sein oisa. B'chol makim tamid chum b'telam. B'chol aroitz l'asam b'kam hashvakim. Linyan ze oisa. Afilu makim shenog shaloi l'asas muter al yedei goy. Afilu b'beisik. Pragmatia l'arviach l'shtaker. How about doing pragmatia? Business, which is most of what people are doing today. Making phone calls, making a deal, or taking care of things. But after Chatzos, it's muter. Nogel achmer at Chatzos b'chol malach shesh b'shir k'tzas. Even though I said, "Dov she'em b'shir k'gon ad lok tzaneh shira muteres alachmer v'aporis toiv lasas al yedei goy." Okay. So it seems that after Chatzois, especially Maso Matan, that it's mutter. However, the Shulchan Aruch finishes off saying, which is a Gemara, Kol ha'oisem halacha b'Tisha B'Av, ein roya siman b'rocha me'oisem halacha. That even so, the Mishnah Berurah explains that even though, what does it mean? Ein roya siman b'rocha. Right. I know. I feel about Malcolm Shenogel Asas. I feel a lot of Chatzois. Mamashma b'Gemara, however, says the Mishnah Berurah, Dafka k'shavei atzma l'malocha masiyach daitem avevis. Okay. Mutter lisa v'lutnach Chatzois, but lo yimshich v'asokev kedei shelo yasich daitem in avevis. That's the bottom line what the Mishnah Berurah says. Mishnah Berurah says the bottom line is that if you need to go into the office or you need to make phone calls, take care of things, you should do it in a way that you're not masiyach das ma'avelis. What does that mean? Every person knows himself. So what that means. If you plunge into, you have a huge to-do list and you sit down from 2 o'clock till 7 o'clock and you're chucking away on the phone, you're taking care of things and you're on the computer, or you're taking care of a few necessary things that, a few phone calls that came in or a few things that you need to take care of. It's totally in every person. The bottom line is, it's mutter after Chatzois. And a pragmatia. Elamai, the Gemara says, Ein roya siman brocha. So the Mishnah Berurah is explaining, what is the pshat Ein roya brocha? A person that's cast aside the whole Tisha B'Av, now he plunges into his business, and he forgot about the Avelis. But if you have a few important phone calls and a few important things to do, it's mutter. One more shaila, someone asked, they have so much laundry.
That's a question for you too. Toby Dobbin, and the first we have to take care of the phone calls.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's like Menachem put on film. Yes, for sure.
You're working for a day.
Huh?
Working for a day. Fine.
So go into the office after Chatzois. What could he do? Go into Chatzois after Chatzois.
I know. What's a dish? I'm going to go for town.
Let me talk about Matzah Tisha B'Av now. This year, someone asked about Matzah Tisha B'Av. Oh, they asked about laundry.
Bubble economy, I know they would make food that night. The kids stash for Yom HaMachras, Akamuta.
So
we do laundry at night.
So that's the shayla. So basically, this year is an interesting. The kfiyus of this year is instead of Shabbos. Chazal say that really there was a slaughter to make the fast on the 10th of Av because they went in and they were and they made the fire they lit was towards the end of Tisha, and the Beis Hamikdash was burning the Ikir on the 10th of Av. Elamai Mekendach Nish and the Ascholos the Peron is the main thing. So therefore, they said, however, the person shouldn't do things until Chatzos the next day. Okay. Bottom line is like this: the Shulchan Aruch, they talk about to say that because it's out of Shabbos, they cover Shabbos. It depends. The things that are covered Shabbos is that you could do on Friday from the morning, for sure. That means rechitza, kibuz, doing laundry, listaper, taking a haircut. These 3 things to do from the morning. Some achraim say that if your mamash have no choice, you can do it even the night before. Again, because covered Shabbos. A person can't. There's so much laundry that they're not going to manage. But most places can say should do it in the morning, from the morning. But when it comes to shtiyas, yayin, achilas basar, so that's a way till after Chatzos. Music, exactly, music. Like kids are polishing ready to hear music. But still, that has nothing to do with Kavod Shabbos. You could hear music from Chatzos, but taking a haircut and also cutting your nails, taking a haircut, l'sapa l'chabes. So these to be makel. Most say you can be makel already from the morning, but if you have an overload of laundry, it should be right after Tisha B'Av. Huh? No.
I don't know. It comes to function like it's this. One thing with pleasure with
I don't know. I see it's nicht as a bullshit, but
question.
okay, David shall help him that this year that it should take it, Chazal say that it will turn into Simcha, Yom Tov. So it's a broad. That's why there's a whole discussion that Ramos says to eat. Since the Mafsek you're only supposed to eat one tafshel. So our meaning is to eat a piece of bread and an egg dipped in ashes. But the Ramos says to eat the extra in the earlier Suda that's before minutes. Mishnah Torah says, why did the Ramos say that? I eat after fast. And they the ones that I eat should have koyach. So therefore, he's just reminding you. But others say that this is a little bit to be merames because soon there's going to be this day is going to be a Yom Tov.
Yeah.
So to remind us that
Eat early before mincha because you have to be good for that night to eat the seudah.
so the Eivish shall help and the taka that is the Harminig also to the Mekadosh de Labona after the fast. Why? Because Sainian that we want to be Mekabel of Pnei Shechina. So they shall help him that we should be Mekabel Pnei Mashiach Tzedkenu, and this day should turn into a Yom Tov. So swimming with Pashtus is after Chatzos on Friday, because bathing, a person say Makabel Shabbos, they need to bathe. Swimming.
We had our own house. Everybody did
So Friday morning for sure.
Which country?
Yeah, better Friday morning.
Okay,
sehr gut. Gib mal Grace Gruß zu deiner Mama.
Amen. It should be a lot of Israel in Israel.
Amen. That's why we need shluchim around the world.